Hello, this is the return of Strange Origins podcast, and I'm joined by two of my friends. One is Shads,
Hey, sup, I'm Shads.
and the other is Rox.
Hey, I'm Rox.
Hey, so both of these are girls from Mauritius, I guess. I was gonna say guys, from Mauritius, and we're gonna talk about the oil spill that's just happened off the coast of there. So I thought it'd be a good idea to bring on two people that are relative experts, air quotations, of the
Oh,
island.
I'm definitely not an expert, but okay.
Bit more of an expert than me, I guess. But yeah, I was gonna say like the oil spill happened on I think it was July 25th and ran aground there. But I was gonna say like when was the last time you guys actually went to Mauritius? For context.
So the last time I went was probably like 3 years ago, and I went with just my dad. And before that, I went when I was a kid.
Okay.
But both times are completely different because obviously when you go as a kid, you're just there with family, and you're just like all I remember is just like playing with all my cousins and stuff, and
Yeah.
it being like a really fun holiday. But then this time when I went with my dad, it
Mhm.
was more like because I went as an adult, I did a lot more sightseeing that I can actually remember, and I took in the culture a lot more, and I took in like the scenery, the environment. Like I just saw it from a different like perspective, and it was just so nice.
So it's more of like a personal one, that one, like later on.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, Shads.
For me, I haven't been since I was younger, actually, because I used to go a lot when I was a child.
Mhm.
Haven't recently had the.
Like chance,
I
I
feel
guess.
like, yeah, it's usually chance because I think like my younger siblings and my family have been a lot more recent than I have.
Mhm.
Because I suppose like every time they went, I either had like exams or stuff to do, so I
Right.
couldn't
Okay.
really like drop in, go on holiday, which is a shame. But like I was before like quarantine and like COVID and everything happened, I was sort of like planning to go
Yeah.
sort of this year,
Okay.
but
Well, I guess the
maybe we'll
spanner in the works
see.
there.
Yeah, maybe we'll see. Maybe like in the next couple of years,
Yeah.
hopefully,
Well,
I'll be
this
able
is
to
what I
go
was
back
gonna say.
again.
So, like, obviously, you guys. I mean, you both been there at least a couple of times afterwards, after you, if you were born there or not. But
Mm.
you still like found that place to be like a nice sort of paradise, and then you hear something like this in the news, where they run aground, and I think it was 1,000 tons of oil. It wasn't actually carrying oil. It was just a freighter ship, but
Yeah,
the
it was
fuel
the
tank,
fuel.
yeah,
Yeah.
like leaked, and they cleaned up a 3,000 tons of it, but 1,000 still got out, and that's still enough to devastate two wetland ecosystems. I think it was.
Mm.
Yeah, so it's between sort of the Blue Bay Marine Park Reserve and two environmentally protected marine ecosystems in the area as well.
Right. So yeah,
So that's why it's like such a devastating thing,
and
like environmentally.
that already pisses both of you off. I'm assuming, like more so, but like I don't know if you guys have actually heard. Apparently, the reason why. So
Yeah, so I did hear a couple of theories.
there's a leading one that I believe, at least, which is the captain. There was a birthday party happening on the ship, and they have a clear course. Obviously, all these ships have a clear course where they're gonna go, but it deviated like substantially. And apparently, the story is that there was a birthday party on there, and they wanted to get Wi-Fi, so they tried to like sail closer to the island of Mauritius to get Wi-Fi. Um, and that's
And
why
that's
they
why
ran
it ran
aground.
aground.
Which
Yeah.
I don't know how that guy makes you guys feel, but that's
Yeah,
just
I've not heard this theory, and it already is making me so upset because that ship wasn't supposed to be on that part of the island,
no.
and by making a such a stupid first world problem mistake, like oh,
Yeah,
I don't have Wi-Fi, I need to get Wi-Fi. They've
it's
just
ridiculous.
literally completely sacrificed the livelihoods of not just like the marine wildlife, but like all the locals in the area
Yeah,
because they
they rely on
rely on
tourism, right?
fish for their fishing
Yeah. Mhm.
industries and etc.
Yeah, and I imagine that like that's what they don't seem to think about that. Like obviously the people that like the captain who is apparently gonna if this is true, it's gonna they're all gonna spend a lot of time in prison, which is
Well,
obviously a good
actually,
thing.
you guys will be happy to know recently the captain actually has been arrested.
Okay. Yeah, I think the captain's name
So
is Sunil Kumar. He's like a Indian captain who was sailing the ship. Uh, and I think I did hear that he got arrested recently. So like there is some justice there, but still it shouldn't have happened in the first place, you know?
yeah,
Yeah.
because this is like a whole massive ecosystem that's just been ruined because it's like a really rich biodiversity
Yeah, yeah,
that is just going to be like completely destroyed, and what it'll probably take
Years.
yeah.
maybe 50 years
That's
to
crazy.
recover.
I haven't even heard
Like,
that.
yeah, because like thank God it wasn't an oil tanker, because
Oh my
imagine
god, yeah.
how much it is. But the fact of the matter is still so much has been lost, is going to
Mhm.
be damaged, because it's not just oil that's floating on top of the water that you can just skim off. It
Yeah,
goes all the way, it emulsifies into this water, and it like hits the seabed as well.
Mm.
yeah,
So that's a ton of coral that's dying, fish already, like sea mammals, sort of like lizards,
yeah. And it just
birds, just
destroys the whole environment.
everything.
And I think like
Yeah.
the lucky thing that we have is at least nowadays they do have this special like material that can absorb oil on the in and on the water, which is great. But again, like none of this should have happened, and there's faults on every side as well. Like apparently the actual government didn't send out the
No.
boats in time to deal with it. It was 2 days after I think it was, and they blamed that on bad weather. Um,
Yeah, I'm not really buying it because like it ran aground on the 25th of July.
yeah,
And so the Coast Guard managed to bring everyone, like the crew, the captain that was on board,
hmm
to shore. And they only declared it a national emergency on the 7th of August. So that's like what,
oh
like a
god,
week or two
yeah,
afterwards. And they definitely, like, I do feel like the government is partly to blame because
Yeah,
yeah,
they,
it took a really long time to get things moving. And in that time, France was managing to like send aid.
hmm
Also, another thing that really annoyed me was I know I know it was a Japanese ship,
yeah.
but I read that they only sent like six officials from
Yeah, I
Japan
was gonna say
to
like
come and like
if that annoys
assess
you or
the
not.
damage. But surely they should have done more to help. Like if France is able to send aid, why can't Japan send aid?
Yeah,
Um, you have the locals all getting involved because the government has been so long, um, which again is amazing that just people from the island have just like pulled together a mixture of locals, volunteers, you
yeah.
name it. They're all pulling together to try and save the reef. I
It's
had a cousin send me pictures because he was actually volunteering around one of the coasts there,
okay.
and he was just sending me like loads of imagery and videos of like all the work he had to do. And honestly, the sea was just oil, like thick oil washing up onto the
Jesus.
sand, and everything was just like black. And
Yeah.
it used I was looking at old videos of when I last went, and the sea was clear. Like I could just walk into the sea. I can see all the little fishies like swimming around me. Now it's just thick
That's what I
oil.
heard from Shads. Is that like the water there is always crystal clear, and you can go there, and then just to get this, which is completely the opposite,
Hmm.
like completely fuck it over.
No,
It's crazy because like stuff like this still happens even after the BP oil spill and all of that stuff. Like and just if it is just because this one like crew wanted to get Wi-Fi, like that's abhorrent. That's ridiculous. I don't know.
we
People.
have to like. I think the real heroes in this situation are like the locals and the volunteers because
oh yeah, definitely
everything
100%.
they've done, like they've been
Mm,
building these oh, I don't know what they're called. They're just these massive float things of like material, and they've just been stuffing it with like sugarcane and
oh, okay.
bricks, and even people like girls were cutting off their hair
Mm,
to help just fill these bags with absorbent materials to
wow.
absorb the oil.
Okay. That's amazing. I mean, like at least that, like obviously because there was a, it sounds like there was a lot of passion on that island for the island. Um, So like when something like this happens, it's obviously a terrible thing, but at least it is backed up by the people of the island who actually try and help
Yeah.
it. But I know on August 15th as well, which is fairly recent. That's as of the recording this, it's like 5 days ago. It split the ship split in two as well. So
Mm.
it's
Yeah.
still not getting like I it's still not getting cleaned up. Like there isn't enough being done. Like the Japanese companies should at least be sending more aid. Um, Obviously the government can only do so much, and it's like people. I actually spoke to people about this, by the way. Like some people haven't even heard of it. They haven't even heard that this oil spill is
Yeah,
even a thing.
media coverage, there just isn't any.
No, I know that we are in the middle of a pandemic, fair enough, but still, no one said anything about this. It's kind of amazing which is one of the reasons why I wanted to make this podcast so people can hear about it. But like, no one even knows about it, and it's quite devastating. You know, it is destroying endangered animals over there.
Yeah, I think they managed to tug like the front end of the half that broke off,
Mhm.
but there's still the back end that is still there. And I think from what I heard, it still had some oil still, like the
Right.
back end,
Okay.
but that they couldn't obviously pump all of it out because of like the rough seas and terrain. But thankfully they did manage to pump out a lot,
Yeah. I
but
think it
it's
was three
just like
thousand tons. They said.
yeah, there's still like some left in there and they're just kind of hoping because they're still going to remain operations again when like the seas have calmed down, but it's just like
Yeah.
we don't want that to break up more.
No,
Like a
definitely not.
thousand tons is already enough. Let's not add more, you
It's
know?
yeah, it's already wreckage at this point. So we don't like. I mean, I'm hoping there's compensation involved. I'm hoping I know they're
Yeah.
covered for over $1 billion, like the insurance
Um,
company.
I think yeah. I think I was like reading an article and it did say that Mauritius was seeking compensation from the owner and the insurers
Yeah,
of the Japanese firm, which was Nagashiki Shipping,
yeah.
which owned MV Wakashio, which was the ship that ran aground.
We got our media correspondent here. She's got all
Yeah.
the information here.
Not all the information, but from the article.
Yeah.
So, and the shipping company has responded saying that they will respond to the request for compensation, everything like that. Because it's just like because it's not just like oh hey like your ship ran aground and then we had to clear up the mess. It's just like oh hey by the way you kind of like completely ruined our livelihood and also like all our marine wildlife and
Hmm.
everything, which is a major ecological disaster because of how diverse
So like,
the wildlife is. So, you
considering
know,
like
can
this
we
is
have
happening,
something?
and obviously with the pandemic and stuff, when can you see you guys going back there? Like, do you
Well,
think you
apparently they're not even like. I don't think there are any flights going to and
really?
from Mauritius right now. So I
Is that because of the oil spill or just because of the pandemic?
think it's because of the pandemic.
Right.
Yeah.
So I honestly don't know when
Well, I mean,
flights
fingers crossed
will resume.
we get a vaccine by the end of the year. Um,
Hmm.
and
Hopefully, yeah,
yeah,
fingers crossed.
and then life can start. But I mean, we're moving from one bad topic to another. But like the fact that I'm still seeing people traveling on going on holiday and stuff right now is tilting to me. Like it's really annoying to me. Like I don't know, seeing you can't just not have a holiday for 1 year would be nice. You know,
Yeah.
I don't know. Like
Even yeah, it's just it's still sort of weird to me, especially when you're like, oh yeah, I'm like flying to like Spain or like Amsterdam or France or
mhm.
like anywhere in Europe or even like further far. I'm just like, why?
Yeah, I've been asked like 3 or 4 times actually to go on holiday to I think it was like Germany, Italy, Spain. I was like, you do know there's a global pandemic going on. Like, I'm not going to be traveling to a different country. I don't understand why people can't like why there's such a need for them to go to a different
I
country.
agree. Like I at this current time I do not want to go on holiday. I don't understand why people would want to put their personal greedy needs
Yeah,
before the pandemic. But at the same time, a holiday brings in tourism and
it's
tourism
true.
brings in money. So, there is some pros to it. Like these are like the whole world needs to get back and restart their own economies. So
Yeah,
tourism does help but unfortunately, it's just one of those times where you really want to risk it as
I
well.
think it's like timing as
Yeah.
well. Is that people are just well, I say people. It's more of the government are just being like, well, you guys take the risk, and we'll see how it goes. And that seems to be the problem that's happening at the moment.
Mm.
Is that most of the governments and stuff are saying, look, you've all got to eat out. Like what we've got, eat out for London, go to the restaurants. Like, we're not going to, but you guys do it, and we'll generate the economy much better. It's like, whatever, man. Like, I don't know.
It
It's
also makes me think like they keep saying if there's a spike and stuff, they won't hesitate to put us under lockdown. And I know like there have been some countries in like not countries like northern
oh yeah.
areas in the UK where they've had like local lockdowns, but I wonder if London will ever have another lockdown,
You think it's too
or whether
like
they're just going to
too far?
keep us rolling out the money for the economy and
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, I've already seen that. I think as of today, Northern Ireland tightens lockdown rules as it fights the rise in corona cases. I think Scotland sees highest daily rises in corona infections in nearly 3 months. So it's like they're clearly like. I mean, I'm pretty sure that ties with the fact that schools went back in Scotland as well.
mm.
So I mean, that's what's going to happen as well. If you, I mean, let's not even get me started on the fact that pubs opened up before schools, but like, it's,
Oh God, yeah,
London mentality is great, isn't it?
yeah.
But yeah, actually,
Well,
that
if
brings.
anything, it just showed me that it's just so much cheaper to drink at home than going to a pub. Because like, what you're paying like £6
Yeah.
for like a pint, just a pint, and you can go out and buy a box or like a crate of beers
Mhm.
for £5 and you're sorted.
I
It's
think that's
just
what we did.
like
We just kept going to the park, enjoying our times there, rather than going to a pub that's like 40 quid down the drain. But
exactly.
that does bring me on to the other thing that I was going to ask about COVID was like how you guys have been coping with it, because obviously you've never been on a podcast, so this will be your first time to talk about it. I think we've been in lockdown. Well, I say lockdown, but we've been trying to stay at home for like 5 or 6 months now, furlough. We'll start with Rox. I think you're back to work now, right?
Yeah, so I was put on furlough,
Mhm.
which not gonna lie, I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
It was nice to just have some time to myself, like, and really appreciate the little things in life.
Mhm.
So, like, just sitting in the garden and enjoying the weather and reading a book. And I even started being creative again and painting and drawing, which is like hobbies that I haven't done since I was in school. And it just made me like remember how much I miss being creative.
Yeah.
Um, and then I got asked to go back on reduced hours in July. So they brought me back like part time.
Mhm.
And it's been okay. Like I'm working from home, which is good.
Right. Okay.
Um, but it's like it's weird because it's different because I'm not getting the workload that I'm used to because there's only so much I can do from home.
Yeah.
Um, so it does get a bit boring working from home, but at the same time it comes with its pros such as I'm spending more time with my family, I'm saving a lot of money,
Right.
I'm not like I can have a lie-in, I'm not stressed like in a stressful environment because I'm at home. I
Yeah.
feel safe. But in terms of my work wise, like probably would be more productive if I was in the office. I
Right.
think there needs to be a balance. Like if I was to go back to work full time, which I hopefully I will be in the next few weeks, it would be nice to bearing in mind if the pandemic does go away and we all go back to normal.
Hmm.
One thing that I've learned is I'd love to just go back to work full time, like in the office, but have more working from home days. That's
Yeah.
what I've learned. I think that really does balance like stress levels, anxiety, and just your work life balance. It
Yeah.
really does make a difference.
I think like I'm not even sure if it's scared or made the employers happy that they've realized they can do a lot of stuff and work from home. I don't know if it saves them money or they're scared that people won't be doing as much. But it's definitely like something that the COVID has like opened up is that way more people can work from home and you don't need to hire out this massive office with like 500 like offices just so you can
I
actually
think
get your work
companies
done.
are finding that they're saving money by not having to pay for their staff travel and stuff like that.
Yeah,
The companies are finding that they're saving money. Staff are finding that they're saving money because they're not like out and about buying lunch and all that
yeah.
jazz.
Or
And
wasting money like on travel
But
yeah,
into
see, that's the
London.
thing. Like, that's the other thing is that do you think that is also what is slowing down the economy? Because all the workers would be going to work spending money on TFL, and then they'd all be eating out, having lunch. They'd all be funding those shops, and then even after work, maybe they would go out for a drink, and that would fund those jobs as well.
100%.
So you think
It's
like
Yeah.
it's just a knock-on effect, isn't it?
Yeah.
yeah.
Also, as well, it doesn't help that just travel in general
Oh, it's
is
extortionate.
expensive.
Yeah,
Yeah, it is extortionate. So, obviously, it is kind of a blessing, especially for those people who don't have to pay that much money to like travel to get into work. They're
yeah,
saving up that money because they're just like, well, there's like 500 quid down the drain for like this 1 week or whatever, just traveling in.
yeah. I
And
mean,
also as well, I know for me personally, like I've had a lot more time to just like cook food for myself. So
mm,
again, I don't have to be like, oh, like I'm just gonna eat lunch out quickly, or like I'm gonna pop to M&S and buy a meal deal
you feel a
kind
lot
of
more
deal.
healthier as well. I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess that brings me to a different point actually. Like, do you think you guys would ever do alternate forms of travel, like not spending like money on public transport? Do you think you would like maybe get a bike or a scooter or something like that? I can't imagine rocks
If I'm
on
being
a little
honest.
scooter actually. Like, but like,
Like traveling into London, the quickest way
hmm,
is tube.
right.
So, and where everything's so fast paced, it's just easier to get the tube.
That's got to be so
Um,
stressful though, like taking the tube early
oh,
morning as well.
I don't miss taking the tube.
Oh man, like that. I'm sure that's the worst part of any job is commuting. Because at least my commuting was okay. I could actually get the bus halfway and then walk, and I'd walk. I've got a lovely path like next to the riverside, like the River Thames, and I would just walk down there, so I'm okay. But I know that other people, all they complain about is taking the tube. I can't.
Tube during rush hour is the worst
Oh
thing
my
to ever
god.
exist.
Especially when you're at the height of people's armpit
I wanted
level.
to say that, but I didn't want to be taking the piss out of two girls that I know are very short.
I mean, like to be fair, we are both like quite shorter than average, so
so, so that train journey must be fantastic for both of you.
Well, I've got my, when you get the tube for so long, you
Mm.
kind of get yourself into a little routine.
Yeah.
So I've got my designated spots in which
Okay.
I stand on the platform in order for me to get on the tube at a certain like part of the cabin and a certain spot that I stand in, which is if I can't get a seat,
Yeah.
then I'll get the sort of like what are they called, those not benches but the padded seated area at the very back
Oh
windows
yeah, yeah. I know what you mean.
oh,
right
the
by
ones
the
that you kind
door.
of like lean on.
Yeah.
Yeah, those lean-in seats. I stand right there in the corner away from everyone else
Oh,
and also so close to the door so that when it's my stop, I'm the first one off the tube.
I'm not gonna lie. I was gonna question like, can you reach that seat? Like the
No,
leaning on seat.
it's not that tall, Jack.
I thought you might have to jump a bit or something. Nah,
Uh,
I can imagine like wrapping yourself up in a bubble, like going onto the tube. Especially like you guys must be lucky that you, or at least count yourself lucky that you didn't go on a tube during this summer because it was
Oh God.
baking. Like you guys coming
yeah.
home from work and then there's just so many sweaty people. I can't imagine it would have been that great.
The most disgusting thing anyone ever has to experience.
It,
Going to work in the
like,
morning in the summer it isn't so bad because
Yeah,
everyone's like freshly washed. It's the coming home after work when it's everyone's had a long day and you can smell the BO on them, and I'm like, "Ugh, get me off the
do you think
train."
everyone needs to have designated showers like before they leave work?
Yeah, and
that
like,
would
you
be
feel the
ideal.
Yeah.
thickness on the poles as well. Like, no.
Oh.
See, I work in a place where it smells nice, so even if I know and feel that I'm like completely drenched in sweat, at least I smell
But
nice to
surely,
other
surely
people.
that must be worse for you because you're coming from a really nicely smelling place and then going onto that. A
Oh yeah, no,
cesspool.
100%, definitely. 'Cause I'm just like, why am I in this environment right now? Do I really need to take the tube to get home?
Yeah. Do I do?
Kind of
You start
thing.
questioning your reality. Do I really need to work anymore? Like, I don't
Yeah,
want to
like,
do this
do
anymore.
I? Yeah, it's just like, yeah, it's really not pleasant. Like, honestly, because especially because our infrastructure for like the tube and stuff, we don't really have like adequate aircon
Oh God, no.
properly.
Yeah. Like,
Like, I know at least for the Victoria Northern Line. I mean, I don't know about sort of like all the other lines, but
The
I do think
Metropolitan line is the only one that has aircon.
wow, really.
which one?
The Metropolitan line.
Oh, lovely.
Well, like, I actually read an article recently that the underground is actually getting hotter, and the reason it's getting hotter is because it's surrounded by clay, and the clay absorbs the heat and then radiates it out, and it just gets hotter and hotter and hotter and hotter, and that's what's happening. So that it's gonna get to a point where it like levels out, but it's gonna get hotter, like down there. So look forward to
Ugh,
that.
godforsaken clay.
Yeah.
With climate change as well, I don't know how that's going to work
Oh
because
yeah.
they're saying what in the winter months it's going to get colder and the summer months it's going to get hotter.
Yeah.
So
Did you see
good
like
luck.
was it Death Valley? Was like
Yeah.
50 something degrees.
Aptly named.
Yeah.
Whoever named Death Valley was
Baghdad
very
as
good at
well
names.
was like 54 degrees. Like that's nuts. It's never been recorded before. So get ready for that shit.
Yeah.
Especially our
To be
country.
fair, like I feel like also as well in winter the tube. Well, this is me personally. I still feel like the tube is still quite warm and hot, and
Oh yeah, in
it,
winter, what's annoying is
yeah.
you're actually wearing all jumpers and coats and big winter coats, and you go in a
Mhm.
tube and you're baking hot. You take it all off, and you go back out and you're fucking freezing cold. You put it back all on again. That's exactly how you get flu and cold. Like it's bullshit. Just turn
Also
into
as
a
well,
rant.
people coughing without covering their
Well,
mouths.
hopefully that
Like,
all changes because of this COVID, but I don't know about that. Like people are dumb.
yeah, like coughing and sneezing without covering your mouth. Like, even before like COVID and everything and like
Oh
the
man.
quarantine, that was still super disgusting
Yeah,
to
yeah,
me.
definitely. Yeah.
And just seeing people, I'm just like, oh,
It's
that's
gonna happen.
grim. That's
Like that.
fucking grim.
This is the thing. Like people, like I don't know. I feel like the second wave is coming, and it's gonna be in winter. And
It's so funny you mentioned that, Shads, because when before the pandemic, when I was on the tube or bus and people would cough or sneeze, people would just like, I don't know, ignore it or whatever, just let it go over their head. Whereas I was fully that person that would give them a dirty look like, ugh, you just coughed or you just
Yeah,
sneezed.
like
When people would
disgusting.
look at me being like, oh, she just coughed and sneezed, like, stop being such a bitch, like, calm down. Now it's normal.
to
The
be
minute
fair,
someone sneeze, everyone looks at that person.
Rox, I've seen you give someone a dirty look just because they looked like a certain direction, or breathed, and you were like, "How dare she? What the fuck?"
I don't like germs.
At least you're justified now, I guess.
Yeah. But to be fair, like, it's also the reason why a lot of people would get colds or flus as well, is because someone was coughing or
Yeah,
sneezing
yeah,
near them, didn't cover their mouth properly, and that's how you get cold and flu. It's the same reason that if you're in a work environment, there's, oh, like that work bug that's going around and making
oh
everyone ill,
yeah,
is because someone
fucked up.
was sick and gave it to other people because they didn't cover their mouth properly, they didn't wash their hands properly, or they just like coughed and sneezed in their
Yeah.
hands and just like started wiping it on everyone. And it's just
Well, I'm definitely gonna
like
keep the
that's the reason why
mask.
people get ill,
The mask
you
is
know?
definitely gonna be kept with me, but it's it's about time to wrap up here. So I wanna thank both of you, both my friends, Shads and Rocks, for
Our
joining
friends.
for the return, and hopefully we get to see you again in another episode. Hope you
Oh
guys
yeah,
enjoyed
definitely.
yourself.
Yeah, it was really fun doing the
Thanks for
podcast.
having us, Jack.
That's
Yeah,
alright.
thank you.
No worries, and see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.